approach to insecurity, particularly banditry and other related crimes in the northwestern part of Nigeria, now spreading to the north central and in other places. We're here today, guys. The conversation today is about the kidnapping of a notorious bandit leader himself, Audu Lankai. So Audu Lankai's power base is in Batsari and the Jibia area of Kastina State. Reports emerging that not only was he captured, that he has also been killed by the notorious bandit leader Bello Turji. So, and this was during an interaction between them on Tuesday. So he was invited to some sort of peace agreement between him and other rivals. One of them is Dogorabe, and the other one is Black. Both of them are linked to Bello Turji. So they invited him for a meeting, and it was during that meeting that they came in heavily prepared, armed to the teeth, and this is where the gun battle started, and he was captured alive and then handed over to Bello Turji, who's their boss. So welcome to the conversation, guys. We are about to begin. So Abdu Lankai, also known as Audu Lankai, an armed group leader who's central to the enforcing of the local peace arrangement in GBI, local government of Kastina State, have been killed. The incident was disclosed on Wednesday in a post on X by Bakastin, a journalist who reports on conflict and insecurity in Nigeria's northwest. Now, Bakastin disclosed that Abdul Lankai was reportedly captured on Tuesday afternoon during the reconciliation meeting with rival commanders Dogorabe and Black, both of them linked to Bello Turji. So I'm going to break it down step by step so that you guys would understand. It's I think around December last year, 2025, the government of Kastina, started warming up to the idea that they'll be having some sort of agreements and negotiations with bandits in order for them to release some of the people that they've kidnapped from their homes. And even the commissioner in charge of that, I think in Kastina, came out to say, well, that what is the public outrage for? Because a lot of people were really concerned why the government is doing deal with bandits, that it will embolden the bandits, it will give them legitimacy and so on and so forth. And people were not happy with it. They're like, no, the government cannot be doing deals with bandits. How can the government be doing deals with bandits? That it is not it's not sustainable. And that anytime the government does deal with bandits in one local government or in one area, it's spread to other places. So this is where it all started. And the commissioner said, well, that they've seen it in wars, that anytime there's war, that there is hostage exchange or prisoner exchange. And people are saying, hang on a second, what prisoner exchange are you talking about? These bandits went to the homes of these innocent civilians, kidnapped them, and now you are trying to release some notorious criminals and bandit elements in prison to get them back. This doesn't make sense. So this is how the conversation all started. So people like Babaro, we know what they did in Kankara. People like Audu Lankai himself, and all these guys, we know what they've done. So the idea of releasing these guys, to the society and allowing them to go to the market and to move around as if nothing has happened, it's crazy. So this is the conversation I want us to have today. And let's also talk about the fact that this happened. And the funny thing is that the Nigerian government is sitting down there, and these guys are the ones now arresting each other. We saw that before when Dogo Gide went and, took on another rival gang and eliminated them, And now if you go to GBR, in fact, the statements coming out of GBR, the sympathy, people are crying that these bandits that they did deal with, that's the guy that they like so much, have been kidnapped and killed. And they are urging Bello Turji and the Nigerian government to go and rescue a bandit. Oh, man. What are we doing in this country? Like, honestly, this is the whole stuff. When people talk about Stockholm Syndrome, this is exactly what they mean. And you have people on the ground crying and even calling on the Nigerian government to go and rescue Audu Lankai. Oh, God. Nigeria is the best country on earth. So you have this bandit kingpin that the government recently did deals with to give them legitimacy. They say, "Oh, we have, we forgive you. Whatever you've done in the past is all gone." And then you have another bandit leader not happy with the fact that that bandit got recognition by the government, and they went and kidnapped him, and unalived him and took him out. And then the people from the community where this bandit is from, who see this guy as the main, here's the thing, they revere them. A lot of people sympathize with them, and this is why this thing is gaining so much prominence. Even though they're tormenting and attacking those communities, some people are still giving them, revering them, and giving them this sort of sympathy. And because I saw the videos where they say they are not happy with this current incident, and that the Nigerian government should step in and go to Shinkafi and root out the other criminals there. Meaning that you're supporting one set of criminals and the other one have now attacked your own criminals or gangs and took them out. And now you're calling on the government to come and help you. Yeah, so this is the conversation I want us to have today, guys. Don't forget to tap and share. I'm also streaming live on YouTube. So if you're not following me yet on YouTube, you can connect and subscribe there. Leave a question, hit the notification bell. So the incident, like I said, was disclosed on Wednesday in a post on X by Bakasin, a journalist who reports on conflict and insecurity in Nigeria's northwest. Now, Bakasin disclosed that Abdu Lankai was reportedly captured on Tuesday afternoon during a reconciliation meeting with rival commanders Dugurabe and Black, both of them linked to Bello Turji. Now, let me start with something you should deeply, deeply see as embarrassing to the Nigerian government. One of the most dangerous bandit leaders in Nigeria, Audu Lankai, was not arrested by the army. He was not arrested by the police. He was not arrested by the DSS. He was arrested by other bandits. Yes, other bandits, rival bandits, arrested one of the most notorious bandit figures in the Northwest. Operating, Batsari and Jibia. These guys are tormenting Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto. This is the den of the major criminal bandits in Nigeria, because these places have frontiers with Niger. From that place all the way to Niger State, to Kaduna State, where Dogo Gide is operating. The single fact that no one, like I said, Audu Lankai's power base is in Batsari local government area of Katsina State, who reportedly was captured by Bello Turji, another notorious bandit kingpin operating from Shinkafi in Zamfara State. And the single fact alone tells you everything you need to know about how broken the Nigeria's approach to banditry and insecurity is. Now, the arrest did not just happen overnight. It didn't happen from nowhere. In recent months, some bandit kingpins in Katsina State have reportedly entered into peace deals with the government authorities, and deals involving releases, negotiations, and so-called reintegration. So they're doing deals to reintegrate the bandits back into the society, to forgive them for whatever they've done and to reintegrate them. But here's the problem. Not all bandits agree with these deals. In fact, powerful figures like Bello Turji and Ado Alero are reportedly unhappy with them. And that tells us something very important. Banditry in Nigeria is not a united movement. It is not Boko Haram. It's not like ISWAP. It is not, some sort of insurgency with ideology, with a command structure or hierarchy. That's not the point. It is fragmented, it is competitive, and it is violent, more like a criminal marketplace, than an organization. This is where Nigeria keeps getting it wrong. Every time politicians say, we will negotiate with the bandits, they don't know what they're talking about, because there's no command structure. And this fits in perfectly to what Karl Marx described as the lumpen proletariat. The lumpen proletariat are people who exist outside the productive economy, right? They are not farmers, so you cannot mobilize them with, fertilizers and tractors. They are not workers, so you cannot mobilize them with wages and salary and labor programs. They are not motivated with that. They have no class identity, no long-term stake in stability, and no political loyalty. They survive through violence, crime, and opportunism. So when people talk about doing deals with bandits in Nigeria, and the government, particularly at local level, at state level, talking about doing deals with bandits, they don't know what they're talking about, because you're dealing with people who Karl Marx have termed as the lumpen proletariat. They have no class identity, they have no stake, they have no interest in stability. Okay, they exist outside the productive economy. So their interest is for chaos to continue to survive, because if there's chaos and the society disintegrates, that's what they like, because this is how they are going to profit. They have no stake in whatever the government is doing or whatever anybody is doing, because they have no class identity. And so when we talk about deals, the real question is, who's the government of Nigeria doing these deals with? Who's the government going to do a deal with? That is the question. And for how long? With who? And under whose authority? Because we have to make this very clear. There's no central command structure of banditry in Nigeria. For example, Audu Lankai, like I mentioned earlier, is the dominant bandit leader in Batsari and Jibia, local government of Katsina. For instance, is not answerable to a guy called Mohazingi, who operates in Dan Musa local government. Even though both of them are in Katsina, they have different spheres of influence. And then you have Babaru, who controls bandit operations in Kankara local government, also in Katsina state. And then you have people that are moving in and out of, between Katsina and Zamfara, like Adu Aleru, whose power base is in Yankuzo, in Safe local government of Katsina, of Zamfara state. Then you have other powerful actors like Dogo Gide, Abdurrahman Jankari. Even though Jankari has been killed, I think he was killed late last year, they run their own armed networks. And so it's not just about, it's also the narco trafficking activities that these guys carry. So this is why this whole idea of the government trying to do deals with bandits who have no proper command structure is a problem. It's highly, highly decentralized. So when the government cut deals with one group, it doesn't bring peace. It creates resentment, rivalry, retaliation, because the other groups will be jealous and say, hang on a second, these guys now have legitimacy to operate. It means they can bring in arms anytime they want. As long as the deal they did is, they're not attacking those communities that they are from, that they deals with the government for, and they go to other communities to carry out the activities. For instance, one other place that this would affect is Kano State, which is a neighboring state. It's the economic hub of northwestern Nigeria. Now they go to Kano and carry out activities, kidnap, they steal from other people, and now run to Katsina. So it creates a big problem. In fact, negotiations often make the situation worse. Why? Because deals shift power balances. So if one bandit group gains legitimacy, money, or protection, other rival groups respond with violence to reassert their dominance. And this is how you get more kidnappings, more village raids, more civilians caught in revenge attacks. So instead of ending banditry, what the government would do with this is to create more problem. It fuels more internal bandit wars with civilians paying the price. And that is likely part of what we are seeing now. Bandits arresting bandits, punishing rivals, enforcing their own version of order, and so on and so forth. So let me, draw a curtain with this. You cannot negotiate with them because they have no hierarchy. Like I said earlier, no command structure, no ideology, no shared interest, and most importantly, no accountability. They don't care. Okay, because these guys are living in the moment. They are criminals. They're criminal elements. And I even saw videos of like young kids as young as 10 now being trained and given these weapons to carry. And if they want to buy items, they come to town and use this motorbike and they are speeding into town. It's crazy. It's insane. So this is why we need to call it for what it is. The government is getting it very wrong. The government is getting it wrong in so many ways, trying to do deals with these so-called bandits in order to try to find a way to end banditry in Nigeria. I think the government should focus more on, society building, and also use of kinetic means to dislodge and completely dismantle these guys. You know where they are living in the forest or in the bushes or whatever. You bomb them from the sky. Invest a lot more in drone technology. We should be able to start building drones in Nigeria, so we don't have to depend on importing. Create Use the local economy to create more wealth. The government should start, its own arms production to make it very difficult for these guys. Because what happens is that if the government doesn't have enough reach and they're constantly going to buy expensive equipment from abroad, it becomes a problem. And secondly, society and community organizing, discussing with the locals, because this is the only way it works. And if you hear what the defense minister of Nigeria is saying, is that the reason why we are in this position is because the government is unable to deal with this squarely. It also has to do with other factors as well, other mitigating factors. Okay, so, and the locals as well, some of them are sympathetic and give information to these criminals.